7 p.m.
Welcome. Wear this lanyard and head inside. They're expecting you.
The synchronization needs to be tighter on the transitions. Make sure they
Tomorrow,
hold the final
too.
pose until the count of
2
3.
words on a folded note, and I stand in the doorway for a full 30 seconds forgetting I am supposed to be preparing a session. He asked how long I trained while my hands were still on his back. Asking and not asking, I kept my hands moving. That was the only answer I was prepared to give. He talked about Prague, and his voice changed completely. I have been a therapist for 3 years. I know what it sounds like when someone finally stops managing their pain and just tells the truth of it. I turned my back after he finished talking. I needed him not to see my face for a moment. Sometimes you hear something and it needs a moment to settle before you can be professional again. He was waiting outside the clinic, leaning on the wall like he had nowhere specific to be. I said his name was on the departure list. He said he walked around. Neither of us was telling the entire truth. At the Pojangmacha, the steam between us and him asking real questions and me answering them. This is not a session, there is no clipboard. I have no idea what to do with that. He asked what stopped me from staying in performance, and I told him the whole true answer. I told a patient the whole true answer over Teteok Balki in the evening, and I cannot explain that to myself. Warm-up protocol? I said warm-up protocol, and he looked at me the way someone looks at a sentence that means 2 things and knows you know it. Walking home alone, replaying every sentence. I smiled at a crosswalk signal, an actual smile. At a crosswalk signal. I walked 4 extra blocks before I noticed I had missed my turn. I put every piece of the clinical frame back on before he arrived. White blazer, clipboard, professional tone. So I built the wall, and I know exactly why I built it, and it is the correct decision. He invited me to the rehearsal wearing a clinical justification as a disguise. It was a very transparent disguise, and I did not say no. I find I am having trouble explaining that to myself. He saw me walk in from across the studio, and something in his face changed in a way I have only seen in the treatment room. Here, in his world, he did not have the clinic to frame it differently. Standing in the wing watching them rehearse, I felt both pairs of eyes I carry. The clinical ones and the other ones. The ones I don't talk about. The wing was dark enough that I let both of them look. In the wing, speaking very quietly so as not to disturb the rehearsal, our voices close. I know the vocabulary he uses. He knows mine. 2 people who learned the same language in different schools. 2 sessions remaining. I said it and watched him receive it, and he was not only relieved, I was not only clinically satisfied. We are both very carefully not saying anything about the 2 sessions remaining. I saw him moving alone in the empty studio from the glass above. His body finding the language back. I stood there for much too long. I have no clinical reason for how long I stood there. He saw me watching, and his face after I turned away held something I was not meant to see. I walked down the stairs and stood in the corridor for a moment before I could make my expression useful again. Last session preparation. I do every part of it the way I always do. Slower today. I want to remember doing each thing correctly one final time. I closed the clinical file. I set the pen down. The sound of the file closing in the quiet room was the loudest thing I have heard in weeks.
There's something I want to show you tonight. Not as a director, not in any professional capacity.
What time? So what's your first memory of performing?
It was terrifying. I was 5, wearing this tiny tuxedo.
Really? Mine was ballet. I tripped on stage.
I've been building it around a specific movement idea I first noticed in you.
The way you move when you think you're alone. Why did you wait until the last session to ask without a frame?
Because I wanted to be sure the treatment was right. You were right to call it.
I was not going to ask for something that compromised what you were doing. Because I never found a reason that was worth the feeling of it. The role in your production, I want to consider it.
I know.
Secret heart beating for you. Every stolen moment.
I asked why he waited until the last session. He said he waited because the waiting was correct, because the treatment mattered and he would not compromise it. I stood at the rooftop edge receiving that, and I had no prepared response because I had not expected the truth. Same time Thursday, without a clinical frame,
exactly
without a professional role, without anything disguising what it means. His hand on mine, and the Han River and the city entire around us, and the word yes without any other words needed. The performance light found me when I stepped out. The body moved because it knew what to do. 4 years of clinical training did not replace the other knowledge. It just kept it safe until I was ready. I came off stage and he was there. I had 1 second, coming through the wing entrance where I did not know he would be there. And then he was. And it felt like arriving somewhere I had been moving toward without a map. Same time Thursday. Without a clinical frame, without a professional role, without anything disguising what it means. His hand on mine, and the Han River and the city entire around us, and the word yes without any other words needed.